powerful, technological, and with a striking look, the Speed Twin 1200 Rennsport can be a good purchase option for someone looking for a motorcycle with a sporty feel, but not one that's too flashy. But is it good for you? In this video, I'll cover the technical features, city and highway performance, fuel consumption, insurance costs, available colors, and price. And of course, my honest opinion, with the pros and cons. If you're new, I'm Amanda Pagliari, and this is the most charming motorcycle channel in Brazil, which also brings the best two-wheel review videos on the internet. So go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. The Speed Twin was launched in Brazil in 2019 with the proposal of bringing a new riding experience to the Bonneville family. Not just because of the exciting engine, but also because of how easy it is to ride. Since then, the Speed Twin has evolved and gained the Rennsport version, including in Brazil. We now have the Speed family, which consists of the entry-level 400, then the Speed 900, and the 1200 in two versions, the Standard and the Speed Twin Rennsport. This is the one I'm testing. What are the differences between the 1200 and this Rennsport version here? Well, the first one is the riding position. So you have a more aggressive riding position on this motorcycle. We also have a fully adjustable front suspension. On the 1200 version, it's also an inverted Marzocchi, but here you have fully adjustable. Just like in the rear, you have Öhlins suspensions, fully adjustable. Another feature that comes standard here on the Rennsport version is the bidirectional quick shifter, which is really cool. In addition, it comes with Stilema brakes, high precision brakes usually used on sport bikes, and the tires are also sporty. And to finish off the differences, this bike got one more riding mode, which is the sport mode. This is a modern classic motorcycle according to Triumph itself, which means it's a motorcycle with a retro design but packed with a lot of technology. And the retro elements are highlighted by the teardrop-shaped tank with this very beautiful paint job, in my opinion. We have the round headlight, which is very characteristic of older bikes. Really cool. In fact, this brushed aluminum cover makes all the difference in the design. Just like the front and rear fenders, which are also very beautiful. We have the exhaust outlets, one on each side, and here we have the whole look of the engine. Very dark, but the aluminum swing arm gives this black and silver contrast. Very interesting. The brushed aluminum fuel tank cap is very beautiful in this really cool shape here. Aviador or Monza, right? The Triumph emblem looks beautiful, clearly showing Triumph's attention to detail. In several places on the bike, you can see the brushed aluminum giving it a superior finish. And in several places, you see the name Triumph or the bike's emblem. To highlight that, this is a premium motorcycle with great attention to detail. And all its lights are LED, turn signals, tail light. And the cool thing is that the turn signals have automatic cancellation. The seat is a single-piece type. It has two types of finish. In the middle, more for the rider, it's a very beautiful suede. You have the top stitching, the very visible stitching in white. Triumph is written on the back. It's printed, not embroidered. And here, the strap for you to maneuver the motorcycle. The seat height from the ground is 81 centimeters. I'm going to get on here so you can see. Look, I'm 1.77 meters tall and I can put both feet on the ground without any difficulty. I believe most Brazilians will be able to ride it without any problem. Riding position with rear set foot pegs. So you already have a 45-degree angle here, kind of forcing you to bend your leg. And also to ride like this, in other words, a more sporty riding position. I noticed that my leg already hits the cylinder head here. We'll see in a moment in the city. I'm going to show you how this experience was riding it, but I'll let you know right away that I have long legs and they're hitting, okay? I'd have to adjust myself here, see? Then yes, the inside of my thigh would hit the tank. Overall, the riding style is sportier and more race, similar to a cafe racer, right? The foot pegs, both for the rider and the passenger, are made of retractable aluminum and don't have a rubber finish. I'm gonna get on the passenger seat to show you. It's uncomfortable for the passenger too, right? Because your legs are also positioned at a 45-degree angle. It ends up being a bit tiring for the passenger. If I stayed here, look, if I stayed on the rider's foot peg, it would actually be good. But that's not the case because this is where the rider's foot peg is. Look at the difference, guys. So the passenger who sits back here will also have their legs bent. And there won't be anything to hold on to. Basically, you'll have to hold on to the fender here. There's nothing else. It's basically a motorcycle for you to ride solo. All right? As for the dimensions, it's compact but a little bit heavy, okay? It weighs 216 kilos in total, already considering the fluids and the fuel tank, which has a capacity of 14.5 liters of gasoline. And it has an electronic throttle, and the engine is a twin cylinder. That's where the name twin comes from. And it has 1200 cc liquid cooling and produces 105 horsepower at 7,750 RPM. Torque is 11.42 core at 4,250 RPM. It's an engine that delivers power at low revs, reaching maximum torque at 4,000 RPM. The motorcycle sped up, the body moves on, but the soul lags behind. And the engine has 6 gears, final transmission by chain, and an assisted clutch. And with the Rennsport version here, right? It comes with a quick shifter, but the regular 1200 doesn't. It doesn't have this feature as standard. You can get it as an accessory. The dashboard is round with this very retro style. So up here we have the tachometer, fuel gauge, and speedometer, okay? And down here we have the trip computer information, and on the outside the warning lights. Look, I'm going to start it, I'm going to reset it here. All the lights are here. And then to adjust the panel down here, you press directly on the left handle and scroll down to change the screen. So this is Route 1 covering Trip A and Trip B, right? So there's 1 and 2. You can reset them and with that get partial information. Pretty cool. So here you have average speed and time, okay? You keep pressing. And here you have information about instant fuel consumption, average consumption as well, engine temperature information, and service intervals. Here you can increase or decrease the brightness of the dashboard and see date and time information. And here you can display the revolutions per minute as a number, okay? So you can know exactly what the revolutions per minute is. And here you have music information, right? So you can listen, cancel, and navigate through the app and also use the intercom. However, even though this panel brings connectivity information, right? I'll put it here. Look, press, for example, here in the motorcycle settings, you have Bluetooth. Even though you have connectivity, it's just optional. You need to pay extra to have this feature. Unfortunately, it's not standard. This motorcycle has traction control, which you can turn off if you want. When you deactivate it, it will appear on this screen. For example, I'm leaving now. Look, it's showing up here for me as turned off, okay? However, every time you restart the motorcycle, the traction control will come back on, precisely for safety reasons. Besides that, it has riding modes. So here we have the road mode, the sport mode, which is the extra one in this Rennsport version, and the rain mode, which is for rain, so road, sport, and rain. On the right side controls, we have the button to cut off the engine, the ignition switch, and the hazard lights. On the left side, you'll find the riding modes button, horn, and left-right turn signals. The button to confirm here, and you enter the dashboard settings, right? Here are the dashboard buttons for you to use. And up here we have 2 buttons to control the headlight. This one on top and the trigger here for you to use the high beam and also the flasher. The clutch lever has amplitude adjustment, just like the brake lever. It has a USB Type-C port right here on the dashboard with this rubberized cover. You open it and have access to the port. In addition to connectivity as an accessory, you can also get as an option heated grips, tire pressure monitoring, and also cruise control, among others. At the front, we have an inverted telescopic fork from Marzocchi with a diameter of 43 millimeters and a travel of 120 millimeters, fully adjustable. At the rear, there are twin shocks, right? All-in suspension set, fully adjustable, also with a piggyback reservoir, really nice here in gold with a total travel of 123 millimeters. For the brakes, we have dual discs at the front, each with 320 millimeters with Brembo Stilema radial calipers. And at the rear, we have a single floating disc with a diameter of 220 millimeters, also from Brembo. It's important to mention that it comes with a braided steel hose, which helps prevent expansion when the fluid is at high temperature. Which can actually happen, right, with traditional rubber hoses. And besides that, this motorcycle comes with cornering ABS, intelligent ABS, so that's really cool. The wheels are alloy. Both are 17-inch rims and used tubeless tires. In this Rennsport version, it's a sport tire. And the cool thing is that we have 7 double spokes. Pretty interesting. And now that I've shown you everything about the Speed Twin 1200 Rennsport, it's time to ride it through the streets of São Paulo and also hit the road. And wrap up the video with the positive and negative points. If you're enjoying the video so far, how about leaving your like? That inspires me to make more videos like this. Did you like it? Hop on the back with me. Help me, God. I'm here in traffic and I can already feel the hot breath. From the engine. Guys, this one gets really hot. Look at this. The fan has already turned on here, guys. It's true that it's hot today, but the motorcycle is really, really hot, right? I'm even moving back a little here so my legs don't touch the engine. Why did I get stuck here? Because it's wide, right? I don't feel like going. I don't want to scratch the Triton here, so I'll go with a lot of peace and moderation here among the cars. It's agile, but the big handlebar is the issue, right? Big handlebar, look, to get out of a tight spot, it's got power. So it does well, see? Look, to ride here in heavy traffic, it's agile. However, the size ends up being a bit of a problem, right? For example, picking it up here in the hallway, look. Also, it doesn't turn much, see? I was lucky to get in here. Oops. Yikes, here you have to come and do it here. Help, God. It doesn't turn much, so maneuvering here between the cars gets a bit tricky, right? But look, it's agile in the city. Check this out. It doesn't feel like it weighs over 200 kilos. And it's right here, look. But it's hard to maneuver, especially since it doesn't steer well. But that's it, guys. Here in the city, I thought the brakes performed well. Yeah. Acceleration, great acceleration. Very good suspension too. And everything else. But now let's hit the road. Here on the road you have a really fun bike for taking curves. An exciting bike. It's not a bike for those looking for top speed, like high speed, but rather for those who want a stable, strong bike for traveling, for riding on the road, even with a passenger. It has the power to overtake. This big engine here, guys, look at this. It's really powerful, it really pushes. Look, 5th gear, 160. So, like, I'm not going to speed here because you won't hear anything, right? It'll just be the wind on my helmet. But it's a bike that has power, very stable in the curves. An interesting thing about this engine is that it doesn't vibrate. So even when you're revving it up, you don't get that vibration from the engine or the bike in general. Yeah, so on the road, you do well. Of course, the more you accelerate, the more the wind hits your chest, right? That's normal. Yeah, and that's it. When you put it in sport mode, you can feel it. The bike gets a lot more responsive. And of course, it's going to use more fuel, right, guys? So there's no way around it. In a moment, I'll tell you the pros and cons. Don't go anywhere, but that's it. Here on the road, it drives well, okay? The gear distribution is good. On the road, I don't feel my legs getting hot. Precisely because of the cooling, it ends up being more efficient.
It's the wind that cools it down.
So I think that for those who are looking for a motorcycle, not just for the end result, but for an exciting, powerful bike to hit the road and take curves, it's a good choice. The seat, it's hard, okay guys? So, I'm already telling you. The seat is a bit hard, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm already getting a little tired, especially with the riding position, which makes you a bit tired. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's not a bike for traveling, okay? Of course you can travel with it, obviously, right? But it's going to tire you out a bit, okay? Either because of the riding position of your legs, right? The position you're in. Also because of the hard seat here. That's my opinion, okay? Do you have a speed twin? Write down here what your experience is like traveling with it. But now, yes, let's wrap up the video with the pros and cons. And who is the Speed Twin for? Well, in my opinion, first of all, it's for those who like this retro style, but not too much, since it has a lot of modern features. It's also for those who want a powerful high-torque bike to go fast. Besides that, this motorcycle, because it has this more retro look, draws less attention than a naked, a big trail, or even a sport bike. So in my opinion, it's for those people who want a bike like this. Powerful, strong, high torques, modern, and tech savvy, yet it doesn't make you feel targeted. Especially for people who live in Rio and also in São Paulo. The Speed Twin's dashboard showed fuel consumption at 18.2 kilometers per liter, giving you over 250 kilometers of range per tank. That's city and highway driving, with some acceleration on the highway. So I thought it had reasonable fuel consumption, but if you have a Speed Twin, write it down here below. What's the fuel consumption you get with it? And now about insurance. I said it's less targeted, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't get insurance, okay? Look, even bicycles. If you leave a broom by the door, people will take it. I'll discuss the pros and cons of the Speed Twin, sharing my personal opinion. I'm Amandinha and not claiming absolute truth. You have every right to agree, disagree, or even add to it, as long as you use the comments respectfully. But first, you need to be subscribed here to the Motoplay channel. Did you subscribe? You turned on the notification bell, right? Did you click the bell? Then you can comment as much as you want. Let's start here with the positive points of this machine. The design, guys, retro and beautiful. I think this paint job is even done by hand, right? Because in the previous versions it was, so the bike is very well made. Really, the design, it's a bike that you ride, right? And people turn their heads to look at this machine here. And the design is a positive point, just like the finish. It's very well finished. The parts, the fitting, this brushed aluminum here, it's very beautiful. It adds an extra charm. You see the Triumph name and emblem in several places. So, that's a positive point. Another positive point is that its key is coded. That is, there's an electronic chip here, which in practice, even if you make an identical copy at the locksmith and put it in the ignition, You might even be able to turn it, but it won't start. Why? Because the electronic part is missing. This means more security for you. It won't stop criminals, but it makes things harder for them. They'll still try to pick it. They're going to break the motorcycle's ignition to start it, but that won't happen since the key won't be nearby. Amandina likes anything that makes things harder for criminals, so that's a plus for this feature. Another positive point is the suspension, not just the front but the rear as well. Usually this style of motorcycle has a downside, which is the suspension. It ends up being a bit stiff. With the Speed Twin, I had little trouble. I didn't ride with a passenger, but I liked it. Of course, avoid rough roads since it's not a trail bike, right? It's not a big trail, but it performed really well. I liked it a lot. Just like the brakes. So really the Stilema set, top of the line from Brembo. I didn't have any scares at any moment. When a car braked ahead in the city, I grabbed the bike and it stuck to the ground. A positive point. The engine is another plus, exciting and full of torque. Especially during takeoff, right? At low and medium revs, this engine here is really exciting. The quick shifter comes standard, which is a good thing since you don't have to pay extra for it. The chassis is another positive point. Really, the bike can take corners easily out there on the road. You accelerate and it responds very well. In the middle of the cars, did you see? It was a little difficult there because of the handlebars. But the way it handles while riding, I thought it would be a bit worse because of the weight and everything. But its handling is very well balanced, especially when it comes to the weight. Another plus is the long service intervals after the first one, right? It's required at 1,000 kilometers for all motorcycles, then every 16,000 kilometers or once a year after that. So that ends up helping our wallet. Another cool thing is that Triumph offers a range of original accessories for you to personalize, equip, or even complement your bike. Technology features, right? For example, you can add pairing. With your phone here on the dashboard, you can also add several accessories for yourself. For example, a single seat here to make it look more stylish. So that's a really good thing. And the last positive point, but not least in my opinion, is that it's not targeted for theft. That's very important if you live in dangerous areas. This has nothing to do with Triumph or with the Speed Twin. This has to do with our country. Unfortunately, we know that there are motorcycles that are more targeted. I always say this here on the channel so that you buy at least knowing, don't take a shot in the dark. And here, this motorcycle ends up being a little less targeted than others. So, for you to ride a little more peacefully, this one can be a great option. Now I'm going to talk about the negative points of the Speed Twin, starting here with the riding position, okay? I found the bike uncomfortable for me as I'm 1.77 meters tall with long legs. I couldn't fit very well on the bike. If I move forward, which is most ideal or natural, my leg hits this part of the engine, and besides, it brings all the discomfort from the heat, right? It can even burn. If I move a little further back, then my knee fits perfectly here on this part of the tank. But it feels a little weird, right? If there's a passenger here, I'll even end up pushing the passenger back. So honestly, since I'm tall, I couldn't really fit well on this motorcycle. Maybe people who are a little shorter might be able to, maybe it would work for them. Comment below if you have a Speed Twin, if it fits you well, and your height. Another thing to pay attention to is that the engine gets really hot. It's not the hottest engine I've ever ridden. There are worse ones, okay? In fact, there's already a video here on the channel talking about those bikes that get even hotter. However, it does bring some discomfort, yes? So, if you're going to ride in hot regions in that city where it's hot all year round, make sure to take a test ride first before deciding. Another downside is that it doesn't turn much. Look, the steering angle is really small. So if you want to maneuver, for example, you can't. And also, if you want to change lanes in traffic in the city, you'll have to maneuver a little bit if you're stopped. So that ends up being a negative point for me. But there are a lot of people who don't even care, okay? These are the negative points about Amandinha. If you have more or less, write them down below. Speaking of the handlebars, another downside, they're not good for the city. So if you want a motorcycle to ride and alternate with your car, to avoid the driving restrictions or even just ride around the city every now and then, this one is going to be a bit tricky. okay? Because it has wide handlebars. Also, I didn't like this rear view mirror. It sticks out and you might hit it. It kind of messes with your mind. Some people point it down, which I find useless, but that's how it is. Yes, it's agile with good handling, as I said. But the size of the handlebars here and the rear view mirror end up making things a little difficult for daily use in the city. That's a downside. Another negative is that it's not good for a passenger. Although the seat isn't the hardest or the smallest I've ever ridden on, many people will want to ride this bike. And while the issue of getting tired is personal for each person, my leg gets really bent. I don't really like it, but some people do. Those who enjoy sport or naked bikes and even take this one on 200 to 300 kilometer rides. So, what happens? With a passenger here, the poor passenger doesn't even have anywhere to hold on properly. And I also thought that your legs end up a bit bent, so the passenger is going to suffer, anyone who sits back here. So, if you're going to ride long distances with a passenger, pay attention to whether this is the right bike for you, okay? You can still take a passenger around the city, even for about 100 kilometers. I'll consider the passenger too, since some are real warriors. So, congratulations to you, warrior passenger. Some women ride on small hard seats and I just think, oh my goodness, I wouldn't do it. But anyway, appreciate your passenger. If she rides on that seat, make sure you appreciate that woman. And the last negative point, in my opinion, is that it could already come with connectivity as a standard feature. Amandina personally really likes technology, so I would definitely prefer to have connectivity here instead of the quick shifter, because I'm already addicted to using the clutch. I admit that I even forget to use just the pedal there when the bikes have a quick shifter, but okay, it's a convenience, especially on the track, it helps. But I think that for the price of this bike, it should already come with connectivity from the factory, right? It's right there, and it makes you even more frustrated because you see it right there. You see music options and navigation, but don't have them and think, wow, I have to buy it. So, in my opinion, it could already come as standard. It's available in 2 colors, with a suggested retail price starting at 91,190 Rs. What did you think of the Speed Twin 1200? Write it down here below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. If you found this one of the best videos about this machine, leave a like, it's free. And you help and motivate me to make more videos like this. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because there are more videos with this motorcycle in this style with its competitors. I'm sure you'll like it. In fact, there are a lot of new releases now, this year and next year. So by subscribing, you stay up to date with the world of 2 wheels. And of course, if you want to help this channel grow even more, become a member. You get exclusive benefits like monthly giveaways, photos, wallpapers, exclusive content, and early access. All right, leave a like. See you next time. Moto Kiss!